if you're watching this video, you've already seen a couple of my other ones that I posted, and so the timeline's not going to work for some of you, so I'm going to try to clarify that. So I said I got in the, and this is athletically. So I got in the Union at the age of 17, and then I told you I was in business by the time I was 20. Those are both true. A lot happened in between that little 3-year period. So you got to remember, I graduated at 17, played my last high school football game at the age of 16. And when I got in the Union, that was during the summer. I worked during the summer, and then after that year, I took the entire year off, which would have been, you know, the following year. Okay, that year I took off. I worked, I skied every single day, and so that was kind of a beach bum year for me. Then I decided, okay, well, spring's coming on. I got to play my last season of American Legion baseball because I'm just now an 18-year-old. Still got my final year. And to explain where I'm at athletically, I don't want to go into a long story and be that guy telling you, oh, you know, he got 37 touchdowns and all that. It was 38. But anyhow, I don't want to do all that. But I will tell you that. So I play my 18-year-old year. I'm out of school already, and we did pretty good. And I had a lot of attention. You know, I was a pitcher, I was an outfielder, and I played some first base. And I'd made all-stars at every level. I'm just trying to give you an idea for the athletic side of it without going crazy about it. I didn't enter my name in the Major League draft because I wanted to go play football. I did play baseball at high level, played semi-pro. I was used to being around pros. I was considered a prospect. Would have probably been drafted at a reasonable number, but not reasonable enough for me if once you figure out what I'm talking about ego-wise. So anyhow, I decided to make the announcement that no, I'm not going to play baseball past this tournament. We're playing in the West Coast tournament up in Camas, Washington, and it's a big deal. There's a lot of the number 2 ranked overall drafted player in I think the 1974 Major League draft I was playing against. His name was Mike Lentz, and I played against him before up at Tyee Belkirk. Anyhow, anyhow, that's caliber player we were playing with. So we switched it over to football now. So I'd had this streak of glory in my junior and senior year, and I wanted to go play. And so back then you could do what you wanted. We sent my tape back to Boise State. That year, Coach Knapp, Tony Knapp was the head coach. Adam Reed was the wide receiver coach. Of course, they send me back there. They bring me out. They actually try out. That's what they do. They're allowed to do that. Don Hutt comes out, who is a Hall of Famer for them. And they bring out Jim McMillan, who is also an All-American for him. And we're going out, and I'm running patterns for him. I play wide receiver, blah, blah, blah. They like me. They bring me in. They hang a gray shirt on me, and they get me an apartment downtown to stay at after camp was over, and you know, and a food card. So they largely paid for my school, and I like that routine that I was getting back into there. So I'm gonna try to speed this up and not turn it into a super long story. Okay, so what I'm trying to get across to you, because I'm giving you these pitches via video that I could help each and every one of you that needed help, spiritually, business-wise, gold mining-wise, athletically, and you're like, well, how could you? Well, you have to understand a little more about me to understand why. I was just, you know, I could teach narcissism one-on-one. We're going to open a class next week because I just looked at each thing that I wanted to, what I considered mastering it, and then I drop it like I used you know what and go to the next subject. So I get back to Boise, and I love it there. I mean, it fits me. I'm loving this place. I'm now going to be 19. And so we go through camp, That's no problem for me. I was in fantastic shape. I mean, I had worked out and all that. Hadn't done the right things, but they switched that up for me. You know, they got me doing sprints and squats and all these things, training with the track coach. And turns out the coach likes me, and things are going good. So by the time I figure out that that I could play there, and I'd be able to play, you know, I was always doing this just for attention. Well, how come? Well, the Chris Cagle song, because the chicks dig it. Well, I wasn't having any trouble in that department. So a year goes by, and I get in and out of trouble back there. But they clearly saw something they liked, and I did not understand this then. It became all too clear to me now that they knew that I would play to a point I would get the best out of myself, because it was just the way I was wired, and then I would drop it and I'd go do something else. So here I am. I'm back there. I got the girlies. I'm playing ball. My next season's going to be. So what do? That summer, I pack up the car and head back for Vancouver, and decided now I needed to start. I needed to make some money. I can already play baseball, and I can already play football, and I could. In my mind, I could. I thought I was better at football than I was baseball. I wasn't. I was a natural in baseball, if there's such a thing. Didn't really know why or what I was doing, but I averaged close to 2 strikeouts a game as a pitcher. I was a left-hander with a heater and a deuce. And, you know, back in those days, they liked that. But I heard somebody talking once that said, well, you know, you don't want to have to pitch batting practice or anything like that. You know, you just... And so I just separated myself from wanting to go play at the pro level. And, of course, my dad never forgave me for that. I decided to head back from Boise, and I get back to town. And I thought, well, money is what I want now. So I get back a hold of the union. Was Local 335 then. I will obviously let that drop. I wasn't in the union anymore. So I get a job with Copenhagen Utilities, a pretty big company out of Portland, Oregon. And I'm only there a month or two, and I'm moving up over there because you know, the ego thing. I had to do more than the next guy. You know, I walk across the room carrying two bags of cement instead of one. And a guy that was there, he and I decided to start a little company. So we did, and that lasted about 2 months. And his idea versus mine weren't the same. He wanted to do more of a charity nonprofit deal, not me. I wanted the money. So we split up. And funny thing is that he told me not more than a few months later that he said, you were right. I said, well, you know, I know I was right. When it comes to running a business, you damn well better be turn on a profit. So I did the same thing in business. So because I'm making a claim that I could help you in construction. Well, here's why I could help you in construction, because I knew all about it by the time I was 22, 23 years old. As far as they told me I had to play the game with the bonding company, with the banks, with the CPAs and all that stuff. Okay, so I knew how to. I was able to write my own notes at the bank up to $350,000 in like 1978 or 9, and that was a lot of money then. I had a banker's acceptance notes from Bank of Tokyo for 19.4%, a jumbo. So that's how different the economy was than it is now. That 2.5 over prime, you were paying 222%. Okay, so I learned how to do this game with a bonding company, and I could bond whatever I wanted, meaning 3-4 million. It was a lot for a single job then, especially for a kid my age. The bank, I could use whatever I wanted there. The guys had the best equipment and did all these things. But each time I figured this out, I would essentially stand back and admire my work and want to go do something else. So I foiled myself in each one of these things, with sports, with business, with any of that stuff. Once I figured out I could do it. And so it all ends up tying back over into the spiritual side of things, because, well, what do you really do? What did you really win? I mean, you could get the money. I mean, okay, so you could get the money, and you could get the physical thing, but what was your spiritual game like? What do you got going on there? I know I'm trying to move this along quicker. My point is, you master these things, then you want to stand back and admire your work. Okay, well, what's next? What I'm trying to get to you is, these things all leave you, and the reason they leave you is because you don't value them. I didn't value any of those things because they were not hard for me to do. Even though I put effort into them, each step that I did or supposedly whipped and could go to got to the top in that category, I would then, they had no value to me. I thought, well, that's, so what? You just do it, and now you go do something else. But it's the same in life. Whatever you don't value, it'll leave you. If you don't value money, meaning if you don't take care of your stuff and do it right, pay your bills, do all that, it'll leave you. Your health. We all value our health, but any of you, really, we don't value our health. We value healing. So what we want to do is we want to go along and live any way we want, and then when we get sick or something goes sideways, now we value the guy that can fix us over here. So we value healing. We don't value health, because health requires you to do the hard work to hopefully stay healthy, or at least have your best chance at it, right? So they're two different things. I mean, you value, do you value it? Thank God I didn't do that with the girlies. I got the prettiest girl in town. 50 years ago, she was the prettiest. She's still the prettiest girl. So do you think I'm going to take a notch down? That's why I don't step away from that. I mean, what am I going to do? Or go to the second prettiest girl in town? I got a daughter that's the same way. I got a daughter that covers the West Coast. I mean, I got the ego. I mean, do you think I'm going to sire up something that's? I'm the sire. I'm not going to come out with some little twerp over here. I mean, I just want you to understand the level of what you guys are all going through. Okay? So here's my pitch to you. The reason I was able to do good in sports and do good in all these different things was my mindset was different. Egomaniac, or you can call it what you want, but I always figured I was your best option at anything I did. And largely, if I failed, I didn't make excuses as in I didn't need to do something to fix it, but I would also be the first one to tell you, if we were playing basketball and I had a bad game, I'd have told you that they moved the rims. They weren't regulation, because I surely was better than that. Okay, so that's a really big ego, but I did get to the top of a lot of these things, or what somebody else would think so. Here I've been rattling on, and I didn't do a very good job of telling you the story. I really didn't shine my wheels as much as I should have and could have, but you guys can piece it together. That's how it went. So everybody wants to tell you, well, I'm not that guy anymore, and I'm largely going to tell you that too. The things that I do value now were the things that I didn't value through all those years. I mean, I could do them, and so why would I value them? They weren't hard for me to do. It wasn't hard for me to get people to come to work. It wasn't hard for me to make relationships. It was hard for me to keep them for the obvious reasons. I don't value them. So I don't do things that way anymore. I'd rather have you tell me no than yes to come so easy. It's just more comfortable for me, and so. But I will tell you that as much as I tell you that, I'm going to come to your town where all you pig farmers are at, and what's going to happen is I'm gonna make a comeback for the next 10 years. So when I roll into your place, I'm gonna start throwing chairs around and tipping the goddamn tables over when I hit your town, and that's what I can tell you about that.